welcome to tonight's edition of Breeding to Win. Right now, let's take a look at what you can look forward to on tonight's show. V chats to the connections of One World in regards to their Sunmet victory. V visits Captain America in our retired champion section. It's another Group 1 for What a Winter, and V chats to John Freeman, who manages him as well as the late Captain L. The 2020 Sunmet didn't disappoint with a thrilling finish between Vaughan Marshall's One World and Eric Sands' Rainbow Bridge. It was an epic duel between both horses who ran their hearts out. Fiona catches up with the winning connections of this year's Sunmet One World.
I think we're all reliving One World's win in this year's Sunmet on social media. What an exciting race it was, and it's lovely to have Vaughan Marshall with me this morning, the winning trainer. Vaughan, many, many congratulations once again.
Thank you, Fee. Thanks very much.
You're not shy to winning the Met. I think it's your third one, wasn't it?
That's right. Yes, it is. But the excitement is still the same.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Now he's a beautiful, beautiful looking horse, obviously by Captain L. And he's done nothing wrong throughout his career, and he's just been phenomenal this season, hasn't he?
Well, he just seems, as you said early on, he just seems to be getting better and better. And his three attempts at a Group 1 are third, second, and first. So he's a very, very high class horse, and he's raced in the toughest company all his career, and he's come out on top this time.
And it was amazing, winning on Saturday. I mean, not many people had spoken a lot about One World because there was that doubt, would he actually stay? So it was lovely to see him win, and so well. No,
very much so, and he stepped up and was counted, and he proved me slightly wrong because I was very worried about that extra 200, and I thought that might find him out, but he dug in deep, and I thought he was going away at the finish, so maybe I'm just biased.
He didn't have the best of draws either, so it was a hard race for him.
Well, often from that widest draw, and it actually comes, it's in your favour where you can, it's 1,000 metres to the turn, so you've got enough time to get across. And when I won it with Hill 54, he was drawn 16, so it's not impossible, but it does take a bit out of him.
Well, you're pretty much king of the Guineas and king of the Met, but as you said to me on Saturday, everyone, you relish just the same, and it's just so amazing to win the big race.
No, absolutely, and this is what we get up for in the mornings and go to work and look forward to the next one. We're already looking for the next one, which we haven't got at the moment, but we'll find one.
But a great training feat from you, because actually he'd been on the go a little bit longer than some of the other horses, and you've kept him fresh and well, and to get him to stay and everything was great.
Well, I think if you look at his 2-year-old career as well, he loves racing, and I think he gets better with the more races that he has, and that's why I started him a little bit early, just so that, and there was a good 6 weeks between each run, so it wasn't he wasn't over racing, if you could say that, but he enjoys his racing, and I think he gets better with it. I mean, we galloped him before the Matcham, and his work wasn't quite up to standard, but he picked it up in the Matcham, and then after that he picked it up and he kept improving all the time, and the Queen's Plate he really did improve, and it's possibly his best run other than the Met. So I think the more races he runs in, the better he gets.
And he's been running in damn good company. I mean, that was a really fantastic field on Saturday, and Rainbow Bridge is no fluke, is he? I mean, he's running right there every time.
Absolutely, no, you're quite right, and it was just good to see him hang in there and pull it off.
And your relationship with MJ over the years has been fantastic. You've stuck together, and he's just been riding so well this season. He's really doing well, and it's great for him and his family. They're so supportive as well. No,
very much so. He went through a bit of a tough patch early in the season, and we had a couple of talks about it and chatted about it, and he's sort of changed his style slightly, and I think that's because he's now completely pain-free from that neck op that he had, and it certainly paid off, and you can see it in his riding. His confidence is back, and I suppose in anything, in training or riding, confidence plays a huge part, and he's got his confidence back and he's riding very, very well.
I could see there was lots of emotions when he came in with his family there. Everybody was just completely overwhelmed, and you had some very happy owners as well. What a smashing bunch of owners.
Absolutely, and I think with MJ, you know, having come so close with Hill 54 the year before he won it in 2013, you know, he's only touched off in the last stride, so it was a big disappointment then, but this time he fulfilled the excitement, and I think it was great for him and his mum and dad.
Yeah, you've always been a great supporter of Captain Al, and why not? Because they're just smashing horses, they're doing so well still, and he just sort of stamps them so well. One World's such a beautiful, big, strong horse, isn't he?
Absolutely, you know, he's very reminiscent of his father, but you know, Captain Al has done it at stud by all means, but you know, we lose sight of the fact that he lost a large portion of his lung function as a 3-year-old, so we could never exploit him to the extent of say One World, and that we had at this time of his 4-year-old career, the same time as One World, he was already back at Cloverflay on the farm. So, you know, and we had to bring him back after winning the Guineas. We had to bring him back to 1,000 and 1,200. So we never ever knew how good he was going to be.
Yeah, but it was a fantastic day on Saturday. Very many congratulations once again. And whether we see One World on the racetrack again or at stud, you've done it. You've won the Met. So very well done. And thanks for chatting to us this morning.
Thank you, Fee. Thanks very much.
Jockey MJ Bielefeld is having a phenomenal season this year, and to top it all, he won Saturday's Met on One World, and it's lovely to be chatting to him this morning. MJ, you must be still on cloud nine. What a fantastic day.
Yeah, he's still getting goosebumps. It actually took a couple of days to actually kick in, and I still actually can't believe it. You watch a replay over and over, and it's fantastic. Very fortunate and lucky to get on a horse with that ability.
And it's your first real big race, your first big Met, isn't it? You've come close, and you've come close in July, but your first big Met winner.
Yeah, a couple of seconds in that, but yeah, the Mets obviously, I think as a kid, as an apprentice, you think of the July, everyone speaks about it, but then once you get a little bit racing educated, you actually realise what horses it takes to win the races like the Met or the Queen's Plate. I mean, it's weight for age, and it really takes real champions to do that. The July could be a handicap, and you could get a bit of luck with a little bit of a lower class at the right weight horse to win it, but as I said, this type of race is just definitely the pinnacle of one's career.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was a dream come true for you, and there was a lot of emotion as you came into the winner's box. Your whole family were there supporting you, and it was just a lovely sight to see, a sight of everyone's genuine feelings and you know, appreciation for such a great win.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the family it comes from a long time. I mean, as a kid, when I went to the academy, my grandfather was all against it, and there was a lot of arguments and things, and I wasn't really keen on going. And the morning that we actually drove into the academy, my dad says to me, listen, we turn left, you go to the academy, we turn right, we go home. And what a decision it's been, and they followed my career with passion, and mom and dad, they don't miss. My sisters, they're also very big supporters, and my sister's little one is even a bigger supporter, so it was fantastic having them there. My dad was humming and hawing whether to come to the day or not, and I said, listen, you just come. You never know what you can miss out to, and it's fantastic to have them there, and they really enjoyed it.
Obviously there was the draw to be concerned about, and there was also whether he would get home over, you know, he's obviously top miler, whether he'd get the little bit extra, and it all came off very well. As I said, you rode him really, really well. It all sort of went to plan from that draw.
Yeah, as I said, we discussed myself and Mr. Marshall, and Mr. Marshall had doubt, and we all obviously had doubt, but when I got off him last time in the Queen's Plate, I said to Mr. Marshall, I think it was win the Met, and it wasn't cut and dry whether he'll run or not, and unfortunately I went and put him in, and it's worked out. I just thought the way he ran in the Queen's Plate, he didn't run like a horse that stopped. He ran to the line, he never stopped. I think if Vardy maybe joined me, and it could have been a bit of a different result. I'm not saying we would have beaten him, but I needed a bit of a fight, and he quickened past me very quickly, and I think it caught us a little bit off guard. And in that, it looked to me, I watched the replay a couple of times, and he never stopped running, so it showed on Saturday that we went a good gallop, and he surely did stay every single meter of the 2000s. Yeah,
it was a fantastic win, and as I was saying to Vaughan earlier as well, you know, Rainbow Bridge has proved himself, and he's a top horse, and he's always right there. You've beaten a good field on Saturday.
Yeah, most definitely. I think I've run a couple of the Mets in it, but obviously leading up to there's a lot of talk about quite a few horses, and very competitive. I mean, Rainbow Bridge, when I did hit the front, I saw him come, and I was like, oh gosh, we're going to run second again. I had a little bit of a moment. It sounds stupid, but there was a moment where I was like, oh no. And it's amazing that he just dug down deep. He really enjoyed the fight, and Rainbow Bridge is a champion. I mean, he really quickened well, and we've managed to fight him off. So a very competitive and very strong race. So very proud to have won it.
Yeah, well, as I said, you've had a great season. And just talking to trainers this morning, as I was doing my understarters order show, you know, lots of them saying, oh, well, I've got the Met winning jockey, the jockey in form on my horse. So, you know, you're in a good space at the moment, and you're riding lots of winners, and keep up the good work, and let's hope it continues. But congratulations for Saturday.
Thanks for it. Sounds like there's more pressure coming.
Nobody would wish a jockey more luck than MJ. He really deserves it. He works very, very hard. He puts a lot of hard, long hours in, and he really deserved to win Saturday's Sun Met on One World. It was an absolute phenomenal race, and great achievement for MJ, and it's good to see him riding so well. May he keep up the winners for the rest of the season.
The Sun Met, are you ready? And away they go to the roar of the Sun Met crowd from that 2,000 metre marker. One World is back on the inside. Hawam is also further back in the field. It's Rainbow Bridge in front with One World. Hawam trying to close. Twist of Fate is further back. Rainbow Bridge and One World are going together. Stride for stride. It goes to One World. Rainbow Bridge was second. Third got close. Twist of Fate or Hawam. It's one of those. Maybe Hawam, but tight for third. But One World has come here today to prove 2,000 metres is no problem as he takes the Sun Met in a great challenge.
Well, I think we're all reliving what a wonderful Sun Met day it was last Saturday. One World, of course, won the big one in great fashion. We've been lucky enough this week to catch up with winning trainer Vaughan Marshall and winning rider MJ Baderveld. And I feel very privileged this morning to have all owners with me to have a chat about their first winning Met experience. And thank you very much to Vasco da Gama for having us here this morning. It's quite busy and getting a little bit noisy because they're looking forward to having a great crowd for the tennis a bit later. But welcome to all my guests. I've got Bram van Heesten, I've got Etienne Braun, Jane Truter and Ken Truter, of course, all the winning connections from One World. And I'll start with you, Ken. Morning all.
Morning. Good morning, Fiona.
What a fantastic experience for you all first-time winners of the Met. Now, how did this horse come together in the first place that you all became owners together?
Fee, we bought him in 2018 at the CTS1 sale, and I was sitting with Vaughan and Jane and Jenny, and we'd marked quite a few horses that we wanted to buy, and we bought them, and then we bought more than we budgeted for. And right at the end of the sale, this horse came up, and Vaughan and I had kind of agreed that we'd spent our budget, and anyway, he said, gee, Ken, this is the most beautiful Captain L. So I said, well, why didn't we save something for a little bit later? And he said, well, you know, I didn't know how it was going to go. And anyway, the horse came into the ring, and I said, if you like it that much, and I looked at his rating in his catalogue, and he'd basically rated it almost a 5 out of 5, then I knew he was very serious about the horse. So I said, we can't let this horse go. I said, let's just buy it, and if we have to put it together, we'll put it together. And so we did. And obviously I've been partners with Etienne before with other horses, and reasonably successful with horses like Elusive Silver, who ran third in the July. So he was target number 1. and then of course Bram. And I must say, what a fun partnership. We all get on well, and we all talk to one another, and we've all really enjoyed the moment together. So it's been fantastic. But I would like to say that it wouldn't have happened without Vaughan. Firstly, you know, for finding the horse and for liking the horse so much, and for putting it together, and finally for producing a masterstroke of training on the horse.
Well, he's worth every penny. He's proved himself. And of course, as you said, Vaughan's a great supporter of Captain Allen. He's a smashing looking horse, and a lucky bunch of owners as well. But your first Met, so a fabulous experience for you.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've been owning horses as a youngster when I only had 1 or 2 horses, but that was 40 years ago. So I've always wanted to win the Met, and I thought to myself, maybe it's not going to happen. So for it to have happened on Saturday, I think I'm still over the moon. I'm still coming down. So, but nobody can actually describe the feeling. It's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely.
But wonderful. And it's great to have partners as well, because then you can share with other people, which is fantastic.
Yeah, you must have had big celebrations on Saturday night.
I'm afraid so.
But Jane, you looked absolutely fabulous on the day. You were dressed in the correct colours, and it must have been an absolute thrill for you as well. I know you love the horses.
Yes, I do. And, you know, being with Ken, followed them for several years now. And it was just, as I said to you, it was surreal. We were watching from our balcony. My girls were there screaming. I think I almost throttled my brother who was standing in front of me. Ken then lifted me up, and Sally thought, please don't let Mum go over the balcony. But it was a feeling, like Ken said, it's that shaking excitement. Is it real? And wonderful.
Yeah,
and,
absolute dream come true.
It really was an amazing. And as I say, with, you know, Vaughan and Jenny are close friends of ours, and for him to have kept the horse going the way he has been fabulous. And MJ, who's ridden a lot of winners for us, but a first time for all of us. It was fantastic to share it, as Ken said, with Bram and Etienne as well, and their families.
Yeah, no, it was a very, very special moment. And he's such a beautiful horse. He's actually done you very proud.
He has. And Vaughan always turns him out immaculately, like he does. And he's just a really, really perfect specimen. And I think he knows it.
Absolutely, he's quite a show.
He's very sure of himself, and a beautiful, beautiful animal.
Yeah. And Etienne, your first match as well. Now, there was obviously some doubts because he wasn't drawn great, and would he stay? I mean, he's been a perfect miler throughout his career. Were you quietly surprised? I mean, the way he won was quite phenomenal.
No, I wasn't surprised. I think a lot of people were. I think the way the Queen's Plate was run didn't quite suit him. And take nothing away, Vadi won a magnificent race, but we got going a little bit too late. And based on that, I thought he would definitely stay, also with a Giant's Causeway in his blood. And as I said before, MJ rode an absolutely perfect race for me. He made that field stretch and run, and he won a superb race. So definitely not surprised for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it was a great training feat from Vaughan. He's done really, really well with this horse, and he's been on the go quite some time this season. You know, he started racing a little bit earlier than some of the horses, and I think Vaughan's kept him well, and he's just done really, really well this season. And he's also a horse that just seems to be improving as he gets older as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He had very fresh legs for the season, obviously having not gone to Durban, and I think that was a masterstroke by Vaughan. And what was also nice that, you know, when he was a youngster, he used to gallop away from them and they never got to him. And then he won a couple of races where he came from off them. He had a bit of trouble at Durbanville and he won an incredible race that day. So the versatility was also very nice. It's not often you find a horse that can be that versatile. So yeah, the 2000 was never in doubt for me.
Yeah, but absolutely great combination because, as I said, Vaughan's a great supporter of Captain L and he's really done well with One World. MJ really deserved the win because he worked so hard and he's just got beaten a couple of times before. And chatting to MJ again, he said, I saw Rainbow Bridge on my outside, and he was nervous that he was going to get beaten again, and he was so, I think, relieved that he actually got there this time.
100%, and Rainbow Bridge actually headed him as far as I could see on the replay, and he fought back. I mean, that's a sign of a horse with a massive heart and courageous.
Yeah.
Reminded me of the old JPEG days.
Yeah, it was a very, very courageous win indeed. And moving on to you, Bram, you're not shy of having a few Grade 1 winners, but also your first Met as well, so a very exciting moment for you.
Yeah, I'm very happy that I left my phone on that day when the phone call came through. I don't know if I was the first or the seventh guy that was called, but very grateful that I received the call, and I must have been having a winner that day somewhere or a winning bet because I immediately agreed to take a share in the horse. It's the first time we have a horse together as partners, and we're obviously a lucky bunch. It's been a great privilege and pleasure to race with my partners. We've really had a lot of fun, and we look forward to even the journey ahead of us. We've had some lovely duels with Vadi. I think we're 3-all now. We don't know if there will be a number 7 to see who will get one up on the other. But there was times that they've beaten us and times that we've beaten them. But, you know, with a record of 10 wins, 3 seconds and 1/3, I think we can be very proud, and yes, also Vaughan can be very proud of what he's achieved with One World.
Yeah, he's been a phenomenal horse. If he hasn't won, he's always been right there. He's just so honest and as Etienne said, so courageous. And wherever he goes next, whether he carries on racing or he goes to stud, he's a horse we're all going to remember for a long time. It was just absolutely amazing on Saturday. And Vaughan's third met, but he said everyone just as special, and he was quite emotional on the day as well.
Yeah. No, I saw that. It was quite nice to see MJ getting emotional about it. I think I was still a little bit in shock, so it'll probably still hit me when I watch the program. Because I also like to have a little bet, because that was also what fuels the industry. So people like myself, having a bit of extra excitement, other than just winning a beautiful and a lovely trophy, which we're very proud of. But I mean, after the result, I actually realized I've also won quite a bit of money too, which was nice.
That's lovely. And where were you watching from? Were you screaming him home as well?
Well, we're here in Vasco's now, which is Bryn's place. Bryn very kindly invited me and a few guests over to his box. I also had another horse in the race, which didn't run to the same quality as One World and Rainbow Bridge did, but we had a very good viewpoint and very nervous times there, and I took the binoculars and I was just really watching this deal, because like Etienne says, I thought Rainbow Bridge came past us, and myself and two friends 3 nights before we decided we're going to back 2 horses in this race, and we thought Rainbow Bridge is the right one, I must admit. But being a sentimental fool, we also took a nice bet on our horse. So, and my one friend actually said, he on the Friday sent me a message. He says, I see Rainbow Bridge and One World fighting it out, and One World just beating him, So the next day I replied, I said, I think you must be Nostradamus.
Well, you obviously knew more than most of the public did, and it was very clever to include your horse. But because, as I said, most people hadn't really spoken a lot about One World building up to the race, because there was that doubt whether he would stay. So it was a wonderful result for you. Yeah,
no, I think we, in racing, we know our horse is good, but there was no real reason that myself could really have all the confidence over that distance. We were up against some fantastic horses. Do It Again, Horse of the Year, Hawam, which we know how good he is, although he have some quirks. And then Rainbow Bridge have proved himself, so for us to beat all of those was some phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, it was an exceptional field that you beat, so it was a great result. And Etienne, I saw you had your family on course as well. Your wife was up on stage. It's great to have everyone there supporting.
No, it was wonderful, my son and his girlfriend. And I must say, I said to Ken, it's the sort of most relaxed I've been for a big race. I think my heartbeat was normal, and at about the 150 I just exploded. I believe a couple of people got elbows in mouths, and I just lost the plot, and I jumped for joy. I mean, it's just such an emotional feeling. I've waited 27 years, not as long as Ken, and we've had some wonderful wins all over, but this was very, very, very special, and lovely to have Pauline and Cameron there.
Yes, well, obviously you all own it, extra special for you, but for someone just like me watching and the public, you get these special horses, and I mean, you just about want every horse in the race to win, because they all deserve it. What a great field. And I think we get quite emotional too, and goosebumps when we see you all so excited after a race. It was just fantastic, and the emotions, and MJ's family there on course as well. It was quite special.
100. I mean, we all avid supporters of Cape racing. We race regularly. It's lovely to keep a Cape horse winning the Met. And it was just an absolutely superb day for all of us.
Yeah, of course. And Jane, I believe the celebrations went on through to Sunday. Ken was telling me on the telephone.
Yes, they did. Sunday lunch, Sunday evening. So Monday, I said to Ken, I feel like I've run a marathon. So we've tried to have a bit of a quiet week, but that hasn't happened either. I think the adrenaline's just kept going, and I'm afraid I'm the one who did the draw, and I looked at the bottles and I fancied the one straight in front of me, and that was taken. And as I got up, Ken said, "Go for the left, go for the left." So I said, "Okay," and was number 13. So when I came back to the table, I said to Vaughan, oh, I'm so sorry. Everyone's going to be hating me. It was my birthday. And Vaughan just looked at me, he said, don't worry. He said, 13's my lucky number. So I've kept the number 13, and it was. And as I say, we've celebrated with John Costa, who bred our beautiful boy, and we have. I can definitely tick the box that we have celebrated.
Well, Vaughan was never too concerned about your draw, so you don't need to worry about that,
No,
Jane.
I know.
It's the sort of race
yeah.
that you don't need to necessarily worry about. The
But you know, we always had a thing with other races, and we've always just said, oh dear, let's hope we get a good draw.
Yeah.
But it did prove lucky.
But it was a great day's racing, and as Etienne said, good to see the Cape horses were
Yes.
winning. I mean, Candice had a lovely day as well with
Wonderful
2 Grade
day.
1 winners, so it was a really good day's
Yeah.
racing all round,
Yeah,
really.
It was.
And Ken, moving back to you, the $1 million question. I know you haven't decided yet, and you're going to have a meeting whether he carries on racing or whether he goes to stud. And of course, stands at Claverflow with John Costa, who bred him, and we'll be honoured to have him back there, I'm sure. But as I said, it's $1 million question at this stage. But whatever happens, he's a champ, isn't he?
Absolutely, and as I said to my partners, let's enjoy the moment, and we'll get together probably shortly and make a decision on his future. But I'm glad Jane mentioned John Costa, because if someone says John Costa, I kind of say Captain L, you know.
Yes.
And if you say Captain L, I say Vaughan Marshall. And in fact, my last Group 1 winner was with Emerald Cove. It was also by Captain L, because when I had a very good horse many years ago, Glamour Boy, Captain L pipped me in the Guineas. And I always joked with Vaughan, I said, you owe me a Group 1, and so does Captain L. Well, Vaughan's now given me the Group 1, and Captain L's given me 2, so I'm very, very happy. But I think Captain L, I was one of the biggest shareholders behind John Costa when he went to stud, and many wondered how successful he would be at stud, but he's turned out to be an absolute phenomena. And I think you see some of his sons coming through, captain of all, and be interesting to see how William Longsword goes. So I suppose Captain L's right up there on my list.
Yeah, absolutely. He's keeping it all going. But as I said, whatever happens to your boy now, he's the champion. And I think he's going to have a little bit of a break now, which he deserves.
Absolutely. And may I just say this distance question. Jane and I went at the end of December, beginning of January, to Charles wanted us to come around to discuss, Charles Fall, sorry, and to discuss various issues. And then when he got us there, he pulled out these reams of paper, and he'd done a whole brochure on One World, and explained to me why he thought the Met distance would be no problem whatsoever, based purely on breeding and the horse's looks. And he said, Ken, I'm begging you guys, tell Vaughan, tell your partners you must run him in the Met. Charles really had no doubts about him staying, which is, I've got a great respect for Charles's knowledge on the breeding aspect, so he was absolutely spot on.
Fantastic. Well, it was a fantastic moment. Now, we mustn't forget the grooms as well, because I believe they're all having a nice braai later on you guys, so they'll enjoy that. They certainly deserve it. They put in a lot of hard work at Marshall's stable. But anyway, thank you all for joining me this morning. Many congratulations. Keep reliving this moment, because we don't get these moments in racing too often, and we must enjoy it. And all I've seen is wonderful pictures of this horse in the social media, and been reliving the race over and over, and it was just an absolutely fantastic time for all of you. So many congratulations, and thank you for coming along this morning.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Fiona.
One World was a super winner of the Sun Met, and I feel very, very honoured to have all the owners here this morning, and delighted to have had their first Met winner. And we wish One World the best of luck in whether he continues racing or goes to stand at Claverflow Stud as a stallion, but he certainly is a champion.
And here comes Fire Away! Fire Away in the Danger's Hour.
Bloodstock agent and stallion manager John Freeman has had a sparkling season so far with his stallions. Fiona chats to John about his recent successes with What a Winter and the late Captain L.
I think we're all still digesting what a wonderful Met Day it was last Saturday. Some fantastic feature wins, and I think no man can be prouder than John Freeman, and he's taking some time out this morning to chat to me about the fabulous day and the fact that his stallions were really firing. John, wasn't it an exciting day?
Yeah, Fee, thanks. I can't take too much credit for the fact that they did so well, of course, because there are breeders involved, syndicate shareholders. I just happened to be the lucky manager. But I'm very proud of the people that achieved all that success and congratulate them. And guys, it's amazing. Actually, quite incredible. What a Winter wins 2 Group 1 races on the day. And one of them, Clouds Unfold, wins back-to-back victories in the Mallorca Stakes. Lovely to see Russet Air win the Cape Flying Championship. Eric the Red, son of Captain L, won the Juvenile Stakes. And then, of course, Captain L won the Met. And this brings me to the point where South African breeders are ready to pat themselves on the back for embracing the strength and value that locally raced and locally bred stallions represent to our market. In 1991, the Australian yearling market was really bad, and the Australian breeders had been in England at the December sales. Whenever we bumped them in the broodmare sale ring, they had more money than we could possibly come up with, and they bought plane loads of broodmares and put them in foal to Northern Hemisphere time. Top stallions, Last Tycoon, Old Grand Seigneur, and horses like that. So of course we tripped off to the Australian yearling sales to go and buy this. First time we could buy Northern Hemisphere blood in Southern Hemisphere time, avoiding that 6-month age gap. And we came home with a plane load, but after the first night, we couldn't get home. There were no taxis, so we went to Reg Inglis, the sales company, and said, "Can you help us with a car?" So he phoned this taxi company, and explained that we got a bunch of South Africans who were very tired and jet lagged. Could he please send a car for them? He said, "Never mind, send a car. I'll come and fetch them." His name was Mr. Friedman. So we were having a nice chat, and he said, "What are you all here to buy?" And I explained to him that this Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere bred. And he said, "No, mate, you're not here you shouldn't be buying old Grand Seigneurs in Australia. You should be buying Betchingley, Mascays and Maraudings, because we know how they raced, and they're good for the turf here." And it's run true to me, that we have champion racehorses here with very good pedigrees. A lot of them, like a horse like Dynasty, for example, by one of the world's great sires, Fort Wood. A horse like Jetmaster, ringing through. And when you have a look at the trophy cabinet of the Met Day, I mean, all those yellow marks are South African bred or raced horses. Like Give Me the Green Light, not bred in South Africa, but raced here. And then What a Winter and Captain L, Wiley Hall, Jackson. I mean, what a pleasure, You think that Jackson, so he wins the 5 million rand 1600, and then wins the second last race. 2 winners on Met Day. That's pretty good going. Anybody that says that Dynasty wasn't going to produce a solid stud, think again. What a Winter, 2 in the first 5 of the CTS 5 million 1200. He ran in the first 5 of the CTS 5 million 1600. One World was Captain L's 31st Group 1 winner, and Eric the Red, a very exciting son of Captain L, who won the listed race for Fastfontein, is Captain L's 99th individual stakes winner. John Costa, be proud of my pal. When he came to me and asked me to syndicate the horse, it was almost cap in hand. He was young, starting out his new farm. My goodness me, what a long journey and what a legacy. South African breeders can hold their head up high and say we can do it as well as anybody else. I think that's why the world's so terrified of us coming. We can provide cheap, sound, hard-knocking horses at a heck of a lower price than they can. And I'm so hoping that the the import-export audit goes well and that the market opens up. With dread, of course, because if we export all of our best horses, our racing quality is going to suffer. We may not see the type of stallion that we're talking about today. And look, not to say that South African stallion syndicates haven't been importing top-class horses. Of course they have, and we need them to come in every year. I'm not preaching against those horses at all. In fact, I'm very proudly got Lancaster Bomber, an Irish champion, syndicated for Drakenstein. But yeah, we need the Futuras and the new stallions to make a go of it. And Master of My Fate, horses like that, these are cost-effective horses. So all I need now is the son of Captain L, which, fingers crossed.
But I must say, as you said, results speak for themselves on Saturday. Not only winners, but all our top stallions placing as well. It was a phenomenal day for South African stallions. And what a fantastic training achievement for Candice to have that double with the What a Winter.
Fantastic. I smiled for her because, you know, she's absolutely an incredible asset to a stallion. I have to tell you that having syndicated a horse trained by Mike and Candice Bass is an absolute dream. Their loyalty. So they know the horse. They kind of like the progeny. And Brett Crawford with Jackson winning the R5 million race. I love that fact. But getting back to Candice, you know, Marsh Shirtliff and Bryn Russell as partners in What a Winter's racing career were magnanimous in letting the syndicate race the horse when he won the computer form stakes in Johannesburg. A Group 1 race, and then retired to stud, created a vibe, bonhomie, that every stallion in the world praised they could have. Then, of course, you've got the breeders like Marsh and Bryn who sent a whole bunch of mares. So the shareholders, they were pretty significant. Candice went to the sales and loved them and bought them, and I wish them every success they could possibly have.
Yeah, she's certainly been very, very supportive of What a Winter.
Very.
Talking about What a Winter again, do you think his progeny just get a bit better with time as well? I mean, Russet Air's done nothing wrong, but he was running so well up to Met Day, and he looked an absolute picture in the parade, and he just looks to be getting better and better and more muscular and looking better.
And he's quite a scopy horse. You know, he's not he doesn't look like a real sprinter, does he?
No.
Fee, there's no question about the fact that the What a Winters are going to get better. The mares that they get in their first season, and you look at Captain L's profile against What a Winter's profile. I mean, take nothing away from Captain L, he's a champion sire, so I'm using him as a comparative. There's a program, a New Zealand program called Orion, and you can compare two sires' history. You take the first 3 crops of What a Winter and compare them to the first 3 crops of Captain L. What a Winter kicks butt. I mean, Captain L never got a Group 1 winner from his first 3 crops. This horse has had 2. What a Winter's had Clouds Unfold, who won 2 Group 1 races, and now Russet Air. I know that the quality of mares, and you get more quality, higher quality mares, and breeders have learned how to use them. And you know, you hear in syndicate meetings, when we have our meetings, breeders share information about what they think is the type of mare to send. The big thing in both Captain L and What a Winter's case was that they correct mares. Captain L was called Dr. Fix-It, you know, because if they sent him mares with their zigzag legs, they were sure to get something better back. And in What a Winter's case, he just makes damn good-looking horses. And he breeds above himself physically, which is something that people say stallions can't do. He does. He definitely upgrades a man.
top racehorse in his day from the progeny of the late Captain L is Captain America, who won 4 Group 1 races before being retired from racing. Fiona finds out what Captain L has been doing since his retirement.
Last week we started our series on retired horses and we were out here at Fairhill to film Run For It. We're back at Barry and Sarah Ray's stables in Fairhill in Steenberg this morning to film Captain America, who is also stabled here, and of course he's a big champ in the racing world. And Lance Sherrill has taken some time out this morning to give us an update on how the captain's doing. Lance, he looks absolutely fantastic.
He's very fresh this morning, Fee. No, he's looking fantastic. He's let down very well, as you can see.
And loves his carrots.
He loves his carrots, which is something he wasn't used to. And yeah, no, he's settled in very well. He's living alongside me here. Mary Ann's been sort of schooling him, and he's now got a career outside of racing.
Yeah, and what a phenomenal race record he had. We were just looking at the stats. I think it was 10 wins for 35 odd runs, and he was never unplaced. He was always right there in some big races.
A great place better. I think anyone could have lost too much money. I think he made lots of people lots of cash, and that's why he's well known. Everyone knows Captain America out there, the X-Race, the X-Race horse.
But he beat the likes of Futura, he beat the likes of Red Ray, he was second a couple of times to Legal Eagle. He really was running in top company, and he's every bit the captain.
He is. He's a beautiful example of a Captain L. As we know, we're dealing with One World having come through, and I mean his record speaks for itself.
But I mean, he's got the super breeding, as you said, by Captain Al. He was out of Fort Wood mare. He had it all going for him from the early days. But he's a big sort, isn't he? Big, strong horse.
Being big, he's a very athletic horse too. As you well know, he was a fairly good sprinter as well when he started off, and that's why he's taken. Mary Ann would take you through it. He's done very well. And he's stepping up in the class of jumping. I mean, I think he's going over 80 centimetres at the moment. Not with me, to be honest. I do ride him. I hack around with him up in the Takao Forest. But as Marianne says, he's a very athletic guy and he's a very good student, very bright horse.
But he's turning 10, I think, this year, but looking amazing. And, you know, this is what you want to see in racehorses, having a forever home like this.
Yeah, you know, Fee, this is one of those nice things. I think it's a nice story in that you take a horse off the track and, you know, in minimal outset and a bit of time, you can make there's life after racing for horses like this. And then this is, I think, the exercise that you want to tell people out there, there's a career after racing for these horses.
Absolutely, and he's got a special place in all your family's heart because he really got you going into the racing.
I think for everybody, and everyone who comes across him just falls in love with their captain. I mean, I spend my days playing golf alongside you, and everyone knows that, oh, we're going to see the captain when we get up on the 16th. And sure as hell, if before 3:30 we're up here, you'll get a fleeting glance of the boy here with all his mates and the Springboks.
But Lance, when he won the Gold Challenge, that was one of my favourite all-time racing pictures because you were just so full of emotions and happiness, and you went up and gave Captain a big hug, and that picture stuck around. It's an e-poll ad, it's on your WhatsApp picture. It's just a fantastic shot, isn't it?
That memory will long live for me because, you know, the decision possibly might have come a bit premature to retire the Cappy, but it is what it is. And you know, the excitement that he's bringing, you see it. You interview it, Fee, and you see guys winning races, and you see how people respond. It's amazing. There's so many letdowns in the game, and when you get a win, you've got to celebrate as if it's going to be the last. You know, it's such a great lift.
But you know, the whole reason we're doing this series is to see that racehorses have such a lovely life after racing. It's not how people think. They go on to do wonderful things, show jumping, eventing, dressage, have a beautiful home, or just hack, but they do have a life after racing.
No, Fia, you know, there's been a lot of publicity about what people ask, what happens to racehorses after racing. And here's a perfect example of there is a career, there's a life for an ex-racehorse. Doesn't have to be a champion. You know, there's places for them to do. They're clever animals. They can adjust to their different surroundings. And I think, you know, this is a lovely example. It's a very spoilt example, but there's a lot that you can do with a horse after a racing career.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And just to see him so happy, all the horses here at Fairhill doing so well. He really has got a lovely life. And as he's taking Lance and I on a bit this morning. So thank you very much, Lance, for your time. I think this really is the Captain America show, and just goes to show retired racehorses can have a wonderful life indeed.
Well, that's a wrap from myself, Julie Alexander, for this edition of Breeding to Win. Don't forget to join us next week for more Breeding to Win action. From myself, Julie Alexander, and the rest of the Breeding to Win team, good night.